cooperative the last few weeks. We've been able to stay on and ahead of schedule. And you're correct, Chad. While the school's not in session, we're able to get onto that site and get the base done. We initially were not planning on completing that playground at the high school until October. And we've been able to adjust the schedule and the working so that we'll be able to actually have that playground installed before the start of school. That's their target.
Will that be installed in phases, or is it going to be installed per what was hoped for by the community and the committees?
We'll be installing the items that within the budget limitations of the district. We'll be placing about $140,000, $150,000 of equipment on each of the sites. There are some blue sky elements that will be added after the fact, and the money's been being raised by the community, so the PTA folks are out there soliciting grants and donations and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on the site work of phase 1? Okay. Eric, how has the coordination been going with the DEC for the project?
Very well. Right now, we foresee no issues with the coordination with the DEC. The fact that Tim and I actually met with and spoke with Ashley Smith, who's the lead representative for the DEC coordination. She's the engineer of record on that end. She was planning on getting to the high school playground somewhere around the 1st of June. The fact that we got in there ahead of her only helped the coordination. So we foresee no issues. I think that us getting in there ahead of time only helped the situation.
Is there anything else you want to add regarding? I'm sorry.
The DEC, I just wanted to add, the DEC is sticking to their original schedule, regardless of COVID, regardless of the kids being there or not being there. They are sticking to their schedule, so they are still planning on starting around the 1st of June.
And just for the board's recollection, what we'll be doing is they'll be starting their work around the 1st of June, and then beginning their resurfacing of the school hard surfaces, the middle school and the high school, on or around the 1st of August. Tim, is that correct?
That is correct. They want to get all that. They want to get all that hard surface replaced just before the start of the school, and that'll be the last step in the process for the DEC here at the complex at the middle school and high school location.
Joe and Kevin, if you can give us an update, please, on our phase 2 planning. How are we doing on timelines, submission to the state, getting ready to go out to bid and so forth?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Phase 2, we're wrapping up our first set of design documents as we speak. This will be drawings and specifications. I'll be delivering that to our construction manager early next week, right after the holiday weekend. Then we're going to work together with them to develop the first cost estimate, which will be a check of the referendum amounts. If you remember, the scope includes window replacement, fire alarm notification and PA system upgrades, backflow prevention replacement at the 3 schools, track surface replacement, various items. So we'll be giving that to BCC early next week. We'll work through with them, and then the mind of submitting to SED in early June. Keep in mind that while we are waiting for SED review, we can continue to refine things like which scope items will be alternates, and things like that. The anticipation right now is that we will be going through the traditional SED review process, which we would expect, given the current timetable, that they would review and have comments for us, which we would respond to, addressing their concerns by mid to late September, which would allow us to go to bid in October, allowing a bid opening right before Halloween, and review of the bids in the first November, the first meeting in November that the board has, which I think is the 12th.
And then, Joe,
So-
the most of the work will be done the summer of 2021, correct? When schools let out?
Correct. Correct, yes.
Are there any questions from the board regarding phase 2, which will be the work completed in 2021? Okay. Just to follow up briefly on the Chad's question earlier around the playgrounds, if you'll recall, when we initially put forward the playground process, we had agreed that we were going to work with our community partners in the PTA and the community to actually build some of the elements that allowed us to be able to put additional equipment into the playgrounds. When we met back in March, there was a reluctance of the community folks to actually put the children and the adults and the PTA members in a community build and trying to maintain social distancing and do that. I'm pleased to share with you that him and his team have volunteered because of the efforts being made right now while school's not in session to free up our Royalton-Hartland core maintenance folks to be doing the elementary school build the week of August 3rd. And then we've moved up, as I mentioned, the high school build to the week of August 17th. So there'll be about 10 or 12 of Tim's crew working alongside the folks from Parkitects to actually get the installation completed. Tim, anything you want to add to that?
So there's no community build with it then? Just it'll be done by the maintenance staff?
Yeah, what happened was that the PTA was very much relieved by that because they were concerned of putting folks in with a given condition. So the maintenance staff will be doing the vast majority of the actual installation and assembly. The PTA has agreed that they're going to provide hospitality, so they'll be bringing breakfast in and lunches and show their appreciation towards the district staff. Tim, how do your members feel about this work?
So I reached out to all the BMPs and GRPs, and then right now we've got about 13 people that are very excited about helping out with the build at both of the playgrounds. We're expediting our cleaning schedules over the summer here to make sure that we're going to have adequate time to get out there to get these playgrounds built, and they are very excited about it.
Other questions?
Just one quickie, just because it just came across my plate about maybe 2 weeks ago. Music Parents Club was going to donate money toward the playground that had something to do with musical things, and everybody voted, and then it was put on hold. And I'm not real sure why it was put on hold if the playground is going to be going forward. Is it just going to be something that's going to be added later after the playground is built? What's the situation with that?
I had a conversation with Carrie late last week. She wanted some questions of clarity because there was a lot of misinformation that was out there.
Carrie Pratt, you mean? Carrie?
Yes, president of the music parents. And she had expressed to me that they're a little concerned because the play not running, they're running a short deficit. I believe their intention was to partially donate. There's elements at the elementary school that are involving musical instruments. So I believe they're going to be making a donation towards that. I believe all the elements are about $8,000. I think they're going to make a little bit less of a donation towards that. And I am aware that there are other community members that have been writing checks to the PTA. So if any of the board members or community members are interested in putting monies towards the extra elements, it is funneling through the PTA. We'll be having a meeting sometime next week to get an update on where we're at, and I'm placing the order for the actual elements just around July 1st.
Okay, just wasn't sure if it was scrapped or if it was just on hold for, a period of time or whatever, because it doesn't matter either way. It's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain what Carrie's decision and the executive committee will do, but I did clarify the questions, and she did appear very much interested in supporting the project. Okay, any other questions on the playground or anything on the capital investment? Okay, Tim, you want to run us through the maintenance updates? We'll start with buildings and grounds.
Okay, so right now we're currently working in all three of our buildings. Our maintenance staff, we're about 3 weeks ahead of schedule on deep cleaning our buildings, getting all our sanitizing done. We've got a pretty aggressive floor refinishing schedule this year. There's a lot of wax on a lot of the surfaces throughout our complexes, and it's going to be a painstaking task for our maintenance department. But they're all excited about it, and they've already seen the great improvements in some of the classrooms that we've already have already got refinished. So looking forward to that. They're excited about it, and they're looking forward to the completion of the project and the end result. The maintenance garage, hats off to Chris and Tony Marvin. These guys did a great job of removing all the equipment and all the supplies that were in that maintenance garage, and got all that stuff in that Verde trailer. I mean, that was a big undertaking. And between Eric and myself and the crew up there, they're doing a great job on getting that roof detail and making pretty quick work of it. And the guys are looking forward to having that garage back and getting all the equipment reorganized and making that a nice space again. The grounds department, Chris and Tony are currently working around the complexes on a lot of improvements. They're down right now taking the lips out of the varsity baseball field down at the elementary school. That's something that we've always had an ongoing problem with. And if anyone's not familiar with the lips, that's where the clay surface meets the grass area. And what happens is you get a lot of erosion, and that builds a lip between the clay surface and the grass. So they're down there. They went ahead and they removed the sod. They sod cutted it all the way around the perimeter, and they're going to go back in and they're going to remove that clay surface, put topsoil down, and then put some sod down so they can remove that lip, get all that watered in. They're just taking advantage of the situation without not having any activity on that field this year, and they want to get that cleaned up and make it a safe field moving forward. Any questions about grounds or maintenance?
If I could just add, I mean, I work with these guys or next to them every day, and Tim and Chris and Tony, those guys are they're on it. And I've worked in schools before, and I just got to give kudos to Chris and Tony. I mean, those guys are hard workers, and we've worked with them on the construction and trying to make their life as easy as possible. And they do the same for us, and it's been a great team. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Eric.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, Andy, closing out the 2019-20 capital outlay project.
Sure, yeah, the district has received and sent in its final certificate of substantial completion for the project. The only thing that's remaining left financially is just the final retention payment to the contractor that did that work. And then finally submitting the final cost report, which will be submitted in June.
Good. And then Tim and Joe, anything on the 2021 capital outlay project? What's the scope and plan? Where are we at in that process?
I'll take the lead on that one. So we're gonna work on the capital outlay project in the middle school. We want to get that gym floor refinished. We gotta do some replacement on that gym floor. We're all in pretty good shape with that. We like to do some work on the storage area down there in that storage closet that butts up against the shower area. Between Labella and their team, we've come up with a pretty concrete design of what we want to do and how we're going to make that a nice space again.
Joe, anything else? I guess we're all set. Any questions on the capital outlay project? And for the folks working in the community, each year, the district is allowed to do a capital improvement project of up to $100,000 without having to go through a separate referendum support. And each year we try to do a small project. Past year we did the high school auditorium improvement. The year prior to that, it was the elementary school drainage and the gym floors. we try to do small projects that don't have to wait for a major capital investment. We talked about the mobilization for DEC. Andy, updates on the co-property?
We're still working with our attorneys. Revised deed has been received by our attorney. They're going to make some final revisions and send it back to the county for their approval. So just waiting on just final language for the deed to be completed.
Yeah, COVID-19 has disrupted a lot of those processes. It's taken a lot longer than we anticipated. Any updates on the solar pilot project going on?
No update at this time.
Okay. Also, so the next one would be the environmental benefits plan. We do have a contract for the design services to work on the consumer science lab at the middle school, the food science lab at the high school for the ag program, and then the agri-science locations. We're expecting that the design work for that should be done sometime around the first part of June, maybe late June, and then we'll be able to determine what work we need to be doing regarding ventilation, plumbing, electricity, and such. Are there any questions from the board up to this point? Okay, the last two items I've got is we had started the process pre-COVID around looking at strategic planning, which will ultimately lead into a master planning process for our facilities. I would encourage the board, as things begin to settle down, that we revisit that and we come together with some district goals and begin to plan out what is the master plan for all of our facilities across the district. It's important for us to have that as a roadmap. We have information on our building conditions right now, but we really need to try to paint the vision of what Roy-Hart's going to look like in 2028, 2030, so that we can begin to plan for that. And then my last item is, in order for us to reopen schools, we're going to have to submit a plan, and we learned about this today, actually, to the state education department sometime around the 1st of July. Part of that planning process is going to be changing some of our facilities and some of our processes and our cleaning procedures and sanitation procedures. So Tim will be working with many of us that are on the call today to determine what that is. We do not have a template from the state yet. We do not have a guidance document from the state of New York. I do know that we've been spending hours and hours and hours every week reading documents from other states and CDC and Department of Health, make sure that we're going to be in compliance with whatever is necessary. Okay. Open it up to any final questions from the board.
On the COVID reopening plan, so part of what businesses have to do, I'm guessing this is similar, but we had to submit a reopening plan as well as a list of duties and people responsible for those duties at each step of the way. Are we required to do something like that as far as who's responsible for maintaining visitor logs, who's responsible for cleaning, et cetera, as far as this with this new school reopening?
Can I take that?
Well, my suspicion is we're going to have to do that for the schools. I think it's going to mirror what industry is doing right now. But as I mentioned, we have no information from the Department of Education yet of what it is that we've got to submit as a plan and how we're going to follow through, nor any guidance documentation. We're assuming, because we're a business and we have 185 employees, that we're going to be following very, very similar protocols. Eric, do you have other information?
I do have a little bit more. So I have been working on the reopening plan, and Tom, I know what you're talking about. So the reopening plan for Royalton-Hartland is complete at this point, and Tim and I have already discussed this, and we're going to finalize it probably early next week. But this is sort of a new wrinkle, Hank. I don't know that I even updated you on this yet. It's happened over the last couple of days. So I have created our plan. I was reviewing it internally with BCC. I've been talking with Tim, and then I was going to present it to the team, which is, Hank, yourself, Andy, etc., the board.
And Eric, excuse me, this is for the project itself, the capital project reopening.
Correct.
Yeah. No, we're not. That's not what we're talking about here, Eric. We're talking about reopening the schools for students.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So,
I'm glad we're doing it for the capital project as well, so.
Yeah.
thank you. Tom, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anything else? Questions from the board? I just want to make certain that the board knows and the community that we've assembled a very strong team here. I want to compliment the work that Eric's doing day to day and Steve behind the scenes. Our folks from Labella have been right on top of things and helping us with adjustments and interpretation. It has been a real pleasure to work with them. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Tim and Andy, who put countless hours in every single day regarding this to make sure that things go off seamlessly. I had the great pleasure a couple of days back about coming out and meeting the actual team that's doing the work. And I shared with them that how challenging it's been for our school district with the remediation and the loss of the trees and the COVID-19. And they're moving soil and they're building playgrounds and tennis courts and parking areas, but how much that's going to impact our community when they return in September. I'm so very proud of their work, and I think that they also appreciate that this is more than just a construction project. It's really helping our community to build, and I thank all of you for that.
And Hank, just to reiterate, the things that happened just the other day when we took all the contractors on site, social distancing, we went on the high school football field bleachers, and we addressed the contractors, every contractor on the site, not just the foreman, not just the superintendents. They really appreciated that sentiment. It went a long way with the contractors. Contractors were coming up to me after the fact on an individual basis and thanking me for that session that we had with them, and that thank you to them. So to reiterate what Hank said, it's the contractors do feel like this is a part of them as well. They don't feel like it's just a construction project and they're just coming 7 to 3:30 day to day. They really are taking pride in the work that they're doing here, and to Dr. Spitzy coming out and addressing the contractors individually. That's the type of stuff that gets these guys to have a personal stake in the project. So just want to reiterate that.
Thanks, Eric.
Can
Okay.
I ask you a question? How many people were on the football field? Like, how many contractors are we talking?
We had, I believe, like 13 contractors, and we social distanced on the high school bleachers while we addressed them sort of auditorium style.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there's no other questions, one of the questions I would have for the board is, would you like to go back to monthly meetings of the facilities committee for updates, or are the updates that you're receiving on a weekly basis sufficient?
Would we be doing it on, would we be doing it on the Google Meets or in person or what?
Depending on what the governor's order expires on, I think, June 4th, which means we would go back to physical meetings and we would separate ourselves in the media center, have the social distancing and have all the precautions in place, or it might be in this format. If we were going to do that, I would suggest that perhaps we go back to the 5 or 5:30 meeting. Is there a need right now for a monthly update?
I don't know if there's necessarily a need, but it is nice to, it is nice.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay. So then what I'll do is I'll work to schedule perhaps a meeting at the June 12th. We'll try to pull something together, which is the next Board of Education meeting, and we can do we'll have a facilities meeting warned, and we can get that going, and we'll put it again on the same day as the board meeting. Do you prefer that, folks?
Sure.
Okay.
That works.
So we'll do that. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? Chad, anyone else?
No, I hope everybody's questions have been answered, and we're satisfied with the update. I think if we weren't, we would ask more questions. So nice work, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, Chad, I'll ask you a question. At our last meeting, I asked about the placement of the basketball courts in Gaston. I just wondering if there's a response. I believe that was back in October. In the placement of the new basketball courts up by the playground instead of where they currently are. The tennis courts could be split in half. We could have basketball courts on one side, tennis courts on the other.
Yeah, the final design was approved and submitted, Jeff, and they included on the I believe it's the north sides where the tennis courts are.
Right. So last minute, last meeting when I asked the question, the answer was they would get back with me. So I guess.
I apologize about that.
Okay.
The design right now includes and the
Let's
specification.
stay where the plan is.
Yeah. We can get you a copy of those plans sent your way so you can see what the final design looks like.
Thank you.
Any other question? Okay, folks, we'll see you next week for the budget hearing on Thursday, the 28th at 6 p.m.
All right, Hank, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks.